This shower ended after 3 weeks. I've said it many times before, but one of the most impressive things about Britain to me is how much incident and achievement is packed onto such a small canvas. Speaking as someone who comes from a state whose greatest contribution to the happiness and comfort of mankind was the invention of a machine for detasseling corn, I can't help but be impressed by the wealth of inventiveness in Britain. There is so much of this sort of thing, in fact, that much of it is completely forgotten and overlooked. In the tiny hamlet of Wotton, just outside Thurso, there once lived a man whose achievements, had he been born in Iowa, would be celebrated yet.
You come along to see your Bain clock, have you?
Yes, wonderful. Now, when did he invent this?
It is reputed to be at 1845, when he was working in Edinburgh. And this was the first electric clock in the world to be kept going by the impulses of an electric magnet. Originally, it worked on an earth battery.
The clock is maintained by Hector Sinclair, a sort of voluntary timekeeper.
So this is the oldest electric clock in the world?
That is reputed to be the oldest electric clock in the world. The first one to be kept going with the electric impulses on a permanent pole magnet and the solenoid.
What kind of background did he come from?
Alexander Bain was the son of a crofter, a big family of 10 up in the moors above Wotton here, in a place called Linmore.
Did Bain make a lot of money out of this?
Bain died in poverty.
Did he?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because so many people wanted to copy his patents, and it cost him quite a lot of money legally to fight his side.
But he invented a number of other things as well, didn't he?
He was the inventor of the electric teleprinter, which was a forerunner of the fax machine.
No kidding.
Aye. So he's responsible for the fax machine.
Why do you think the Scots are so inventive?
Because they're Scots. That's the best reason.
One of the cleverest bits of Scottish ingenuity is the ability to attract people from all over the world to travel to and experience virtually nothing. The almost most northerly point of mainland Britain, John O'Groats. The little port was named after a 16th century Dutch ferryman who in turn derived his name from the groat he charged to carry people the 8 miles to Orkney. There's still a ferry, but 95% of the people who travel to the spot do so purely to fulfill some inner spiritual desire to touch the edge. And remarkably, they were not all British. I heard Canadian, New Zealand, and Korean accents. There were cars from Germany, Sweden, France, Spain, Holland, even Monte Carlo, as well as from every corner of Britain. They'd driven for hours, days, to wander about for minutes to get a photograph to secure the moment, and then get back in their cars and drive southward. Even the piper migrates the length of Europe to perform, and once his sporran is full, flies south to winter in Malta. I'm tempted to think, how canny these Scots, except that this piper is from somewhere closer to Dunstable than Dundee. The truth is that the whole place has an identity crisis. It doesn't know whether to be first or last, whether it is coming or going. Despite that, there's a continuous flow of people willing to head to this remote corner simply to visit the last house. And afterwards, perhaps, buy a last burger and fries. What many of them fail to do is take the short walk up what might be marketed as the last set of steps, where you spot a headland ahead of you, further north. The truth is that all John O'Groats is the most northerly John O'Groats. Further north you have the castle of May, the most northerly royal home. And a mile further north from there is Dunnet Head, the actual most northerly point on mainland Great Britain. Dunnet is uncelebrated and stunning, a sheer 400 feet from top to bottom as the Bird's Egg falls. It is the black basalt cousin of the grey slate of North Wales, and equal of the much-adored white chalk cliffs I wandered along just 549 miles due south.
Now that's what I call a big ending to a small island.
And no small part of that small island do I miss more than the Yorkshire Dales, which were home for my last 8 years in England. The dales encapsulate all that held me in the country for a quarter of a century, when I only came for a fortnight. They are wild without terror, beauty without vanity. The Settle to Carlisle Railway is a bit like that too. It's the most celebrated obscure railway line in the world, a supreme act of folly. In 1870, James Allport, general manager of the Midland Railway, took it into his head to build a main line north. There already were west and east coast lines, so he decided to drive one up the middle, even though it went from nowhere much to nowhere much, by way of nothing at all. Because the line went through an insanely bleak and forbidding stretch of the Pennines, Allport's engineers had to come up with all kinds of contrivances to make it work, including 20 viaducts and 12 tunnels. It cost £3.5 million, which in Victorian England was an awful lot of single tickets. When we announced to friends and colleagues in London that we were moving to a village in Yorkshire, a surprising number made a face and said, "Yorkshire? What, with Yorkshire people? How very interesting," or words to that effect. I like Yorkshire folk. I've always found them to be decent and open, and if you want to know your shortcomings, you won't find more helpful people anywhere. It's true that they don't exactly smother you with affection, which takes a little getting used to if you hail from a more gregarious part of the world, like anywhere else. But gradually, little by little, they find a corner for you in their hearts and begin to acknowledge you when they drive past with what I call the Mallandale Wave. To make the Mallandale Wave, pretend for a moment that you are grasping a steering wheel. Now very slowly extend the index finger of your right hand as if you were having a small, involuntary spasm. That's it. It doesn't look like much, but it speaks volumes, believe me. I miss it very much. The truth is, I miss so much of it. Marmite, village fates, country lanes, people saying, "Mustn't grumble," and "I'm terribly sorry, but," people apologizing to me when I conk them with a careless elbow, milk bottles, beans on toast, haymaking in June, stinging nettles, seaside piers, ordnance survey maps, crumpets, hot water bottles as a necessity, drizzly Sundays, every bit of it.
The fact is, this is still the best place in the world for most things. To post a letter, go for a walk, watch television, buy a book, stand on a hillside and take in a view. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like it here. I like it more than I can tell you.